Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Listen, we've got some more transfer news and Chelsea news. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do smash the like button as well. Let's get straight into it. Chelsea, according to Court Offside, have already activated the clause to make Jadon Sancho's transfer from Manchester United permanent, with sources describing the club figures as viewing it as a smart investment. Now, I haven't actually heard much from other sources about this clause being triggered. I haven't heard it from any, big journalists. So I don't really know what to believe in terms of Court Offside. So if you know Court Offside, if you've read lots of their stuff, let me know in the comments. We can all help each other understand. But this seems like the type of thing that you wouldn't come out with unless you were certain that it was going to happen or it already had happened. So part of me thinks that this is probably true. Again, don't really know. It's hard to confirm it, but that's what that particular source is saying. If that is the case, then we're going to be triggering the 25 million option to buy Jadon Sancho, and we'll obviously take his wages on, and he will be a Chelsea player next season. I personally think that as a rotation option, I don't think it's a bad investment at all. I would never have Sancho as your starting winger. Just hasn't proven himself ever since he's been in England. Forget United, forget Chelsea. Just hasn't proven himself to be consistent enough to fulfill that role. But he's clearly a creative player, a player that would benefit massively from having a top striker to link up with and just provide assists to. I think ultimately it is probably a smart investment from Chelsea. And if you were to tell me that it's not, name me 3 other players that you think we could get for less than 25 million or around that price that would produce more. So let me know. That's the first piece on Jadon Sancho. Also, we've had some news regarding Dean Huijsen, the Bournemouth centre-back, the Spanish centre-back from Bournemouth. He's only 20 years old. He's already been called up for Spain. Chelsea, according to the Daily Mail, believe they have the upper hand in the Huijsen deal. Now, this is a player that I'm a huge fan of. I think, honestly, I think he's good enough. I think that he's better than what we have in a lot of respects as well. I think that he's proven himself to be a very well-established Premier League player this season. Does he have much experience apart from this season? Not an awful lot in the Premier League, but you look at where Bournemouth are on the table and you look at their defensive record, you look at the defenders and the players that they've had, I think a lot of their players are going to be sold. It's not just Dean Huijsen, by the way, either. It's also their left back, can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's probably going to go to Liverpool. They're going to be selling a number of players. And ultimately, I think this is a deal that has got Chelsea written all over it. We may not have Champions League football next season. There's a good chance we probably won't. I think, if I'm being realistic, we'll end up having European football, Europa League, providing we can win the Conference League, which most Chelsea fans would agree we will do. So bringing in a player like Dean Huijsen doesn't bring you that experience. Absolutely granted. I fully appreciate that. But then you just go back to the managers have said this forever. Doesn't matter how old they are if they're good enough. And I'm looking at a player who is quite frankly good enough for Chelsea and an improvement on what we have. I've seen, relatively average performances from Tosin. He's a squad player at best. I've seen Fofana get injured again. Can't rely on this player. It's just ridiculous how Chelsea would try and build, the system around Fofana, which also has come out as well. Apparently Enzo Maresca wants to build his team around Fofana again. Have you not learned that this guy is not reliable? And you can't build your team around players who are constantly injured. Fofana being number 1, number 2 being Lavia, and number 3, probably Reece James, to be totally honest with you. Those are 3 players you don't build your team around. They cannot prove that they will stay fit for a full season. As good as they are when they are fit, and they are some of our best players when they are, you need consistency. You need availability. Availability is the best ability, in my opinion. And then it's a bonus. If you can't get yourself on the pitch in the first place, it's very difficult to justify why you're worth any money, because you're not even, helping the club achieve results. So for me personally, I do think it's a deal that Chelsea probably will do. I think that, look, we'll be competing against the likes of Liverpool for this player, but what we can offer is minutes straight off the get-go, and a clear progression path. I don't think this is a player, especially if you're spending £50 million, that we're going to look to sign to flip for a profit straight away. There is a good chance that further down the line, if his value increases even more because he's been playing well for the club and put in good performances, that, yes, of course, you could sell him for more. And I think, Huijsen came out saying that apparently Real Madrid was linked with him at one point, or they were potentially interested. I don't think that's true. I don't think that they'd spend 50 million on a player like that with very limited experience. They want ready-made players. But yeah, I think it's a deal that makes sense and ultimately benefits what we're trying to do, which is just have a better defensive record. Like, our defenders have not really improved in the grand scheme of things. I think Cucurella has improved, but let's look at our centre backs. Colwell, don't feel like he's developed that much. Tosin, again, not really much to say. Badiashile, Fofana, not available. Disasi, Chalobah is going to get sold. Who can you look at and lean on and say this is going to be our starting centre back next season? Apart from Fofana, if he was fit, there isn't really anyone. So I don't have an issue with this Dean Hodgson appointment. Listen, each to their own. We've also been linked with Kenan Yildiz from Juventus. Now, this is another young player that, to be honest with you, I haven't watched an awful lot of videos, but seems to be another interesting opportunistic signing. We've approached Juventus for the player, and apparently we are determined to accelerate negotiations with Juventus and his entourage. The source for this is Santi JFM, and this is an Italian source. So I'd love to sit here and read the article, but it is in Italian. So that has obviously been translated and reposted by one of the Chelsea sources as well. But yeah, we seem to be leading the race for Dean Hodgson. Conversations are already underway, by the way. His agent is Ali Barra, who I think we've done plenty of business with in the past, and potentially another one's on the way. Another update regarding Carney Chukwuemeka. Dortmund are very keen to keep him at the club. Niko Kovac is a huge fan of the Dortmund manager. He stated that if Chukwuemeka wasn't, if Chukwuemeka was playing regularly at Chelsea, he would have never come to a club like Dortmund. And the only reason he got the move is because he hasn't had game time at Chelsea. I am inclined to agree. The thing is that the release clause is 40 million. And I very much doubt that Dortmund are going to be forking out 40 million. I think their record signing is only 35. And that was Dembele. Tell me if I'm wrong. So if Dortmund are coming out with, lots of intent to bring this player in, we know he's injury prone. We signed him for about 20 million. What is the price that Chelsea would be willing to accept? It's come out from, from a number of sources that he is a player we'd be willing to sell for the right price. What is the right price, though? If it's not the release clause, is it 35? Is it 30 million? Is it 25 million? I doubt that we'd sell him for anything without making a profit. So 20 million is probably not enough. Let me know in the comments as well how much you think Chukwuemeka's worth. I personally think that as a number 10, he actually should be in Chelsea's squad next season. I think we should build the team, around him. I'm not saying that he needs to start every week, but if you look at who Cole Palmer has in terms of rotation options at number 10, this season we've had Dewsbury Hall came in. You have Joao Felix and you've had Nkunku, and all of them have not worked for Enzo Maresca, whether that being players that have been mismanaged, just underperformance in general, or for whatever reason they don't fit our system. I think that Chukwuemeka would fit quite well into what we're doing at Chelsea, and I don't see the reason to sell him unless it's purely for financial reasons. That's definitely not a footballing decision. Yeah, for me, I want to see Chukwuemeka stay at Chelsea, but good chance that he goes elsewhere. Chelsea forward Joao Felix has already begun talks over an emotional return to his former club Benfica this summer. That is according to Court Offside as well. Listen, Joao Felix, ever since he's left Atletico Madrid, has just been underwhelming. There's no other way to describe it. It's not that he's a bad player. It's not that he isn't a good player. It's just that when you look at the money that was spent to bring him in from Benfica a number of years ago by Atletico, it was over 100 million euros. And he has never justified that price tag. He went to the wrong club in the first place. Diego Simeone, for me, was just not the right manager to develop Joao Felix. But it seems like he has capped in terms of fulfilling his potential early in his career and never really been able to achieve more at Atletico, at Barcelona, at Chelsea in both spells, at AC Milan, than he did in Portugal. So I think there's a very, very good argument for him to go back to Portugal. And I think that would be probably better for his personal development. But then it all comes down to money again. Chelsea spent, 45 million to bring him back from Atletico Madrid. And we've just received a loan fee from AC Milan. I'm guessing that's around 5 million. So you've got 40 million to claw back just to break even on the player that you bring in. Do you think Benfica spend 40 million on Joao Felix? I say no. I don't think that's going to happen. And for that reason, I don't think that deal will be permanent. Maybe there's an opportunity of a loan, a multiple loan deal with an option to buy. The way we operate, it will be money before everything. And if we have to loan out Felix for 2 or 3 years before we can get a permanent suitor for him, that will still put us in a position where we're able to make profit. That's what we'll do. So I can see Felix going back to Portugal, but potentially on loan. I've got another update as well with Roman Abramovich. He's going to be breaking his silence on the sale of Chelsea. That's come out from the BBC. Obviously, he's still sanctioned by the UK government due to alleged links with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. He conducted a 2-part interview about the 2.5 billion sale of Chelsea in 2022 when he sold it to Todd Boehly and Clearlake. The interviews took place in Abu Dhabi in January and in Istanbul a year prior, and are said to include Abramovich's account of his initial takeover of Chelsea in 2004, the sanctions, his efforts in the previous peace process, and his suspected poisoning in 2022. So I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not sitting here saying go and buy Abramovich's book, but I think it's going to be a great read. So I think I'll end up buying that. But it's just mad because obviously Abramovich doesn't do any interviews. So when you hear he's doing something like that, a biography is extremely personal. I don't think it's an autobiography. Someone else is actually writing the book, but it's all about his story nonetheless. And yeah, fair play. Fair play to the man. Anything else? Oh, yes. Louis Saha has spoken about Pogba potentially going to United ahead of Chelsea, as if Chelsea were in the conversation for Pogba. I'm not really seeing why are we in the race for Paul Pogba. I'm pretty sure our midfield is already quite good. Obviously, we know Pogba hasn't played for a little while. He got done for doping. I don't see him coming to Chelsea, so I think that's all nonsense, to be honest with you. These links of a player like that, who's a good player, but not the type of player that Chelsea need at this moment. We need players who are ready to come in and perform straight away. We need players who are going to be consistent. Paul Pogba is not what I would consider to be a consistent player whatsoever. He has moments of magic, but we have so many players in this team that are literally just that. They give you moments and then they go missing, and then they give you some more moments and they go missing. We need a little bit of stability. So no from me for Paul Pogba. Kieran Gill has reported that Axel Disasi, who's on loan at Aston Villa, and Trevor Chalobah are among the defenders that could be allowed to leave this summer. I don't think there's anything new there. He's also said that Chelsea are searching for a new national goalkeeper scout whose role it would be to inform on the recruitment of 13 to 21-year-olds with the potential to eventually play for the first team. So again, We know Chelsea love signing young players. I don't think anything's going to change there. We're just accelerating that process. With regards to Christopher and Nkunku as well, Chelsea are apparently looking to cut their losses. They'll accept a deal of around 40 million, I think it's euros. Don't know why we didn't just do that in January, to be honest with you, if we were that desperate to get rid of the player. But yeah, that's come out. And with regards to Rafael Leao, the Portuguese winger who plays for AC Milan, he is not a player that Chelsea are trying to sign. We will not be looking at Leao, and I think that's the right decision. Listen, this is a player who's obviously produced some very good stats over the past couple of years in Milan. He's had a little bit more of a quiet season recently. But he doesn't fit what we're trying to do at all. He doesn't fit Maresca's style of play. His work rate defensively is quite shocking. I just don't see that as a I don't see that as a realistic option. And there's just a roundup as well. Like when you look at the roundup of Chelsea's sort of summer targets, this is what Sky have come out and reported. They've said that the strikers we're looking at are Liam Delap, Victor Osimhen, Hugo Ekitike, Benjamin Sesko, and Jonathan David. And then we've got the wingers, Nico Williams, Jamie Gittins, Alejandro Garnacho, Dean Hodgson, Jared Brathwaite, and Mark Gurhey as the centre-back options. I know some of you may be thinking we need a goalkeeper, but we've already got a goalkeeper in Petrovic, so he's going to be coming back. If I was to say off the back, which deals do I actually think we will get done? I think that there is a genuine opportunity here. If we have as much money to spend as what's been reported, and apparently we actually have more financial flexibility than you'd think, then I would look at prioritizing the centre-back positions and the strikers. And I'm looking to try and sign Mark Gurhey and Dean Hodgson. I don't think Jared Brathwaite will necessarily come to Chelsea, but I think Hodgson and Gurhey are both great options. I want both of them. In terms of the wingers, not as much of a priority again, especially if the rumor is true and what's been reported is true, that Jadon Sancho has been signed on a permanent deal now, and that clause has been triggered. So don't think we're going to be signing any of those wingers. Nico Williams, definitely not. I mean, his contract's just huge. No way that he fits into our wage structure. In terms of the strikers, listen, Osimhen, is obviously the main choice that we would take. Then it comes back down to the club if they're willing to pay his wages, because I do think they'd be happy to pay a nice transfer fee. But will he fit into our wage structure? I think ultimately we'll find that out in the summer. If you're asking me to take a guess right now, I say no, it's not going to happen. I think Delap is just the player that we're going to get. So if you're giving me three players that I prioritize at Chelsea, but I also think are realistic, I go with Dean Hodgson from Bournemouth, I go Mark Gurhey from Crystal Palace, and I go Liam Delap from Ipswich. If there's one tweak I could make to make it the perfect window, I swap Delap for Victor Osimhen. But again, this is what I think will happen. This is what I think we will prioritize. This is presuming, again, when you look at centre-backs, this is upon the sale of Disasi, the sale of Chalobah, and obviously you want to cover an injury-prone player like Wesley Fofana. You know Badiashiel's not capable of playing every week, as well as Tosin. So you just don't have enough quality in there. You don't even have enough depth when you sell some of those players as well. They need to be replaced. If you're going to replace them with young players, do it with the best young players. And I think that Hodgson and Gurhey have proven themselves this season to be very efficient. Gurhey is actually an experienced player. He's ready-made. Hodgson, slightly different conversation. So I think if you're looking at those three signings that I think will happen, probably about 130 million that we'd look to spend 50 on both centre-backs and then 30 million on Liam Delap. I know not everybody will agree with that. You'll say, oh, but you know, you should be asking for Victor Osimhen. Look, I'd love Osimhen. Give him to me. If he's on the table, I'm not going to say no. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's a realistic signing for Chelsea. And if we are going for a player like Osimhen, then I don't think we'd get both those centre-backs that I mentioned as well. So, listen, it's all hypotheticals, isn't it? Nobody really knows, but we'll have to wait and see what happens as well. One last thing that I want to finish on is on our sporting directors, Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart. Liam Twoney of The Athletic has reported that they were appointed to build out an organization across all departments of the club, not just sign and sell footballers and select head coaches. There are no indications that their positions are in any danger, and it is important to remember that the strategy they are following is the one that the ownership wants implemented. And again, whenever people come for the sporting directors, I do say this, they are actually doing what they're being told to do. I do think that they probably would have already signed Osimhen if they were allowed to pay the wages, but they weren't. So that's why those deals didn't happen. But then again, it comes down to recruitment still being not good enough. Luis Campos is not coming to Chelsea based on what we've heard. These reports have been consistently denied again and again and again. We know Luis Campos is the best in the business, and he would suit what we're doing down to the ground. You know, building a team, being able to find players that ultimately will probably get good deals on and would still improve the team. That doesn't seem to be the way that Clearlake wants to operate. They want to continue with their current structure with Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart. So you can think what you want, you can say what you want. It looks like they're going to stay at Chelsea, and they've been given a lot of power, not just on the footballing side, but again, appointing people in multiple positions of the club. It's not just building the team. Again, it's building out an organization across all departments. So there you go. Listen, guys, let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I've said. And obviously, you know, not everything that's been rumored is going to happen, but that's what the sources are saying. Fingers crossed that we do have a good summer. I think that we'll have a better summer than people predict, but we need to be ambitious because that's what we've seen a total lack of. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch up very soon.